Hello boys and girls, it's Fog and welcome back to Redstone 101. Last time we ended talking about some monostable circuits and some pulse emitters, and today I want to start off picking up right where we left off, and we're going to keep talking about some more monostable circuits. You remember this circuit from last time. This is our leading edge pulse emitter. Well, I want to show you a different variation of this exact same circuit. This is exactly the same circuit, only it's in a vertical orientation. It's much more compact, requires fewer materials, can be fit in a nice tight space like perhaps a wall or something like that, and it has exactly the same behavior. Now, there's something special about a one-tick pulse. If you run a one-tick pulse through a sticky piston, watch what happens. The pulse is so short that the piston extends and retracts before it has time to pull back the block that it just pushed. Now watch what happens if I do it again. Turns out this is a really useful property, and it's used in a lot of more advanced redstone circuits. By limiting the pulse to exactly one tick, you can have this block change places between these two different spaces. So keep that in mind. We'll come back to that and do some more exciting stuff with that later. We've discussed pulse limiters, but sometimes what you want is you want a controlled longer pulse, and for that you want a pulse extender, and that's what this circuit is. If I throw this switch, I'm going to get exactly a 4-tick long pulse. Let me get up here so that we can see that. Try and get where this will be a little visible here. There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4 ticks long. Now let me break down for you exactly how this works. When this block here receives power, this torch is going to turn off, and that's going to stop sending power to this block here, which allows this torch to turn on, and that's what starts our pulse. These blocks over here act as a feedback loop that take the power from that torch and use it to keep the power on this block, so that even if we turn this switch off, this block is still going to be receiving power. That way our signal stays on until something sends power back to this block, allowing that torch to turn off. That's what this circuit over here does. When we throw the switch here, these repeaters are going to, after a certain delay, send power back to this block, so that even though this torch is off, once again we'll be powering this block, and that will cause that torch to go off. Now the delay here is set so that after exactly 5 ticks after we throw this switch, it's going to turn it off. Well, this torch here means that this block was turned off 1 tick after we threw this switch. So that means this block is going to remain off for only 4 ticks. 1 tick after this, and then 4 ticks after this delay gets through there. Okay, so that's why we get exactly a 4-tick delay, because this block is off for only 4 ticks. And let's take a look at that again. So you can see that it's off for 4 ticks. And that's why this pulse is only 4 ticks long. Now the nice thing about this circuit is that it's really easy to configure how long that pulse is. All you have to do is change the length of the repeaters here. So if you want 4 ticks, then you leave this set at 4. But say you want, I don't know, 8 ticks. All you have to do is add 2 more ticks into this, add 4 more ticks into this circuit. So let's do that. Now we should have just exactly 8 ticks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Want 10 ticks? Well, that's easy. Just add another repeater here and set it to 2 ticks. Now we'll have a 10-tick pulse. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 ticks. The introduction of pistons into Minecraft really changed the way we do redstone. It has given us a whole bunch of new possibilities, things that we were never able to do before. And it's enabled us to simplify a lot of things that we do. This circuit here has exactly the same purpose as our pulse emitter that we described earlier. This is a single tick pulse emitter, but it's piston based and it's much smaller and much more compact, very simple. When I throw this switch, this block turns on, which turns on this redstone, which will power that redstone. But it also turns on this piston, and that's going to push this block into position right here, which is going to break this redstone circuit. So the net result is that for a fraction of a second, a redstone pulse is going to slip through and go through our line of repeaters there. So let's get up here and get a good view of it. There you see, you get that little pulse and you get a 1-tick pulse. Just like that. Now this gives me an opportunity to talk about another property of repeaters that we hadn't talked about before. This pulse is actually a little bit shorter than a single tick because of the way Minecraft's physics work. Redstone, as we've mentioned, happens on a 10 ticks per second pulse cycle. Okay, so redstone updates 10 times a second. Game mechanics, on the other hand, are updated 20 times a second. And that means this piston extends in just one game tick. So this pulse is effectively on for half a tick. Now that gets kind of fuzzy because redstone doesn't update that fast, and so you can get some really strange behaviors if you're not careful with that. But what happens here is this effectively, these repeaters will normalize that tick length so that it is in fact exactly 1 tick long. Repeaters do more than just slow down the rate at which something is transmitted. They also have the effect of lengthening the pulse. So watch what happens if I set this repeater to 2 ticks. So just this one repeater set to 2 ticks. All the rest are left to 1. Watch what happens now. Our 1-tick pulse is suddenly a 2-tick pulse. And that's because this repeater remains on for 2 ticks. It takes 2 ticks for this signal to go all the way through the repeater, but it also takes 2 ticks for the repeater to turn off. And that's why the pulse is lengthened. So you need to be careful. If you're working with very short pulses, make sure that you don't run those pulses through repeaters that are set longer than you want your pulse to be, or you'll find yourself lengthening that pulse out. So here, for example, we set this to 4 ticks. Now it's going to take 4 ticks for this signal to get through this repeater and to turn this repeater on, but it's also going to take 4 ticks for this repeater to turn off. And that's going to lengthen the pulse to a 4-tick pulse. There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4 ticks. So something to keep in mind. If you're trying to work with a 1-tick pulse, don't run it through repeaters that are set for anything other than 1 tick. And also, if you're trying to take advantage of really, really short pulses, which some of the more advanced redstone creations do, you may find that if you run it through any repeaters at all, that your circuit stops working correctly. So be very careful about that. And finally, I wanted to show you this design. This is a piston-based long pulse emitter. This can be used to create very long pulses. Just another example of how pistons can be used in redstone circuits. So this is operating on the principle that a powered block behind a repeater allows the repeater to pull power from it. So when I throw this switch, this redstone causes this block to receive power, which passes through this repeater, which starts our signal. This is a feedback loop similar to the one that we saw in our redstone-based pulse lengthener. It's a feedback loop that keeps power on this piston, which keeps this repeater powered, which keeps the pulse sustained for as long as this block remains powered, or for as long as this block remains in position, because this block is being held in position by this sticky piston. This torch behind the sticky piston causes the piston to be extended until a signal reaches this block, at which point this torch will go out, the piston will retract, and that will break this feedback loop, causing the pulse to stop. So we'll fire it one more time here. There you go. So how long does the signal last? Well, this signal is going to last 1 tick for this torch here, plus however many ticks are set on these repeaters. So in this case, it's going to last for 13 ticks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There you have it. Well, I think that's about all we have time for today. Come back next time when we'll talk about clock circuits. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.